Shoot.
Yeah, the whole John Cena and CM Punk situation on Raw.
Yes, indeed. Controversial at the moment. Big part of the story, isn't it?
Yeah, but what really annoys me is Cena, every single time he loses a title, he just gets another title shot. It's like, give it to some lower end guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't really, you don't think he needs to have the title, pretty much is what you're saying, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, he has had loads of titles and he's good, but he's bored and he's had too many.
Do you think it is possible that he'll take it from Alberto Del Rio at Night of Champions then?
I would keep with I would keep it with Del Rio for a few pay-per-views and then maybe give it back to Cena just before WrestleMania.
Yeah, of course, you know, Del Rio, you know, some people have said he's gotten it a bit too quickly. Now, I would somewhat disagree with that, because of course we've seen things like Rumble and then the Money in the Bank. He's won various things. Your thoughts on Del Rio? I mean, does he deserve to have that belt at this point in his career, his time in the company?
Ish, because he sort of earned it when he had his he had his great feud with Edge, then he had a little one with Christian, and then obviously he got drafted to Raw, and yeah, but in the end I think he does deserve it, because we need someone else, you know, other than Cena.
Absolutely. Yeah, Cena in one sense, he's controversial, because I think we've kind of gone through the mill here talking about Cena. There's been times where we've kind of been like, God, does he have to have the belt again? Does he have to win? The old Super Cena deal, you know. But, you know, I've kind of felt in a way he's won it a lot, but he hasn't had that long running reign that he had one time back a few years ago. So I suppose they haven't so much pushed him down fans' throats in that sense. But, you know, have you been sick of seeing the guy just being there? I mean, is it sort of the belt, or is it Cena, if you know what I mean?
It's sort of Cena. I mean, like, if he gets fired, like, I think Wade Barrett fired him when he was in Nexus, and then he came back the next week, I think. It's like, are you gonna fire him or keep him? Like, make up your mind, Vince or Triple H, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, some bad booking. Bad booking. What about then, I mean, I think from the HQ here, our main concern over the last couple of months was the terrible use of Jack Swagger. Do you think he should be put right back up there in the main event picture? I mean, we've argued constantly in and out of the HQ here that he's the most underused guy on the roster. Your thoughts?
It's Jack Swagger, no, because because I saw him against Alex Riley, and he just like couldn't gut wrench powerbomb him, and I was like, what are you doing?
This is what happens.
I'll say this to you, you actually have a similar accent to Wade Barrett. Would I be right there? Are you from a similar area as Wade? I've no idea where he's from myself, by the way.
No, I'm not. I'm from different ends of the country.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I thought I was good now with the English accent and telling where someone was from, but obviously not this time. But listen, it's the first time we've spoken with you. Jeez, I mean, it's great to have someone come in on Skype and have a chat with us like this, especially we've never spoken with you before. But, you know, in terms of the Triple H, the Punk, and the Kevin Nash thing, and also of course John Laurinaitis now as well, what do you think they're working towards there? You know, what's the overall angle, the match, if you like, they're maybe building to?
Well, they build to that big match at SummerSlam where Triple H was the special guest referee, but I don't think they're building too much, just a little feud, and then maybe McMahon will probably come back with probably Shane and his daughter, and probably they'll start something with Triple H and Kevin Nash.
Are you excited to see, or potentially see, let's put it that way, Kevin Nash step back in the ring?
Sort of. I mean, I'm not a big fan of wrestlers who went to TNA. I think Kevin Nash went to TNA. Yeah, he did.
He did, yeah.
And, did he? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Oh, I'm right. Awesome. I'm not a big fan, like, when Christian went to TNA, he was kind of like, okay, you guys aren't giving me anything, so I'm just gonna leave and make you feel sorry for me. So and like I think Booker T is the only person I don't hate who has gone to TNA.
Good call. We're big fans of Booker.
Yeah,
big time.
I'm glad you reminded me of him, because he's a guy who managed to make it back, and now in a sense he's on that commentary, not so much buried because he's got a good position, and he's speaking over all that WWE Smackdown stuff, and of course the pay-per-view as well. So the important moments, he's there. So I would say he's kind of come back well. Your thoughts then on someone like Christian, who of course went to TNA and came back? I mean, would you kind of hold that against that guy, or what are your thoughts on him currently?
Just gonna quickly touch on the Booker T situation. He was in the Royal Rumble, so I was like, oh my god, is he gonna wrestle again? And then again tag teaming with Evan Bourne. So
yeah, no, it's true. I know what you're saying. But Triple H is now the COO. And of course that's something that we both called for a while, was to have him in that kind of suit role where he would at least make those decisions on TV, and we'd see him as the kind of the character that is kind of in control. But of course they still kind of have that laptop at ringside for that general manager, the anonymous general manager. What's going on there really? I mean, what's the idea with that?
I mean, I really don't know. I don't even think Triple H is the real COO. I mean, he's not really a COO. He didn't spend enough time on SmackDown. He's always on Raw, so it's like he is the general manager.
He is, isn't he? I mean, he's the guy. I don't know why they try and kind of, maybe separate those two, because I really believe that Triple H was going to be the guy. You know, during the week I read a story about Nexus, and actually you posted that to me. It was Tarver, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He had some thoughts about who was going to be the top Nexus guy, if you like.
I don't know if I read the whole article, but I read the first part of it. Who did he say?
Basically, he said that it was unforeseen.
I
believe
originally
he did.
at the time.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
And Tarver kind of said that nobody really knew. There was no idea, but I'm sure it was Triple H. If you could have picked one person, would you have gone Triple H or maybe Michael Cole? Anyone else?
Triple H, really, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of angles got dropped like that. Just like you said, the GM thing and the whole Nexus thing, a lot of stuff falling apart. Even McMahon, and I suppose his injuries and how he was taken out over time. One thing I want to ask you, you think the focus has gone back into the tag team division a little bit? How do you see it playing out going forward?
The tag team division is getting better, especially now Covey and Bourne are champs. I mean, I was getting tired of Otunga and McGillicuddy. They was like, oh my god, give it to someone else.
I have to say, last week, prematurely, it took me a while to get around to saying it, but I came out as a big supporter of Otunga and McGillicuddy, and actually I was worked because they kind of sent them out with that new music, and somebody said McGillicuddy, he had a new hat, that was his new gimmick, but I kind of thought they came out with a bit of renewed vigour. Of course, then they did that the next week following, and they lose the belts. So I was wrong,
Yeah, that hat was ridiculous, wasn't it?
It was, but as you say, Kofi and Evan now becoming the tag team champions. I'm not sure. I suppose we should ask you, when did you start watching? How long have you been a fan for?
A fan of what? WWE or the tag team?
Well, wrestling in general. I suppose the WWE. Yeah.
I've been a fan. Well, I started being a fan when I was about 5. Then I went off it for a few years because I found out it was fake or scripted. I don't know. I don't want to get shot by anybody by saying it's fake. But yeah, when I found out it was scripted, I was like, I'm gonna leave it. And then my friend actually was like, hey, let's watch wrestling. I was like, oh god, really? And then we watched it. I was like, this is pretty awesome. So I just started watching it a few years ago. So
yeah.
Are you a fan of the Divas division at all?
Kind of. I only really like it now because of the Kelly and Natalia feud.
Sure.
That's certainly one that's got people interested. But it's interesting to know, because I think often we all come from, we'll say, different times when we all started watching. Some of us being maybe early 90s. A lot of people came in then around that Attitude Era, and indeed myself, I was gone for many years until maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, where like yourself I kind of tuned in again. But you know, you kind of, as you say, went off it, and we all had that moment where we kind of found out that it was, shall we say, scripted or whatever you want to say. What was it about it then when you saw it again that kind of grabbed you, if you like?
I saw it and I didn't really know like who was in it, so I was like, okay, who's this guy? What does he do? What the hell's that move called? So you know, it took me about a month to get into it and know people.
Do you find that many of your friends give you heat, I suppose, for watching it still? What kind of age bracket are we dealing with here? What age are you? Do you mind me asking?
Some people like it, some people hate. I mean, me and my friend, we've actually we started posting videos on YouTube of us doing some wrestling. We're actually building a ring.
Cool.
We suck.
Oh, well, all I'll say to you is be careful, because you know what I'm saying, it's tough. I had some injuries in my old career, you know, back in the long days ago. I certainly suffered the brunt of the injuries.
Broke a few things in my house back in the days.
Well, I think it was the perfect plex, wasn't it?
Perfect plex, and a sidewalk slammed through the coffee table as well, probably, was it?
But it's dangerous, but I'd certainly say take care doing that, you know. But we must check out some of your videos at some point, and you know, maybe next time if you're in with us again, maybe have some footage playing in the background, you know. But best of luck to you with that, mate, and indeed it's great to have had a chat with you tonight. Is there anything else maybe you wanted to share before we finish up here?
Nothing much, just thanks for having me on the show, and I love your accents, by the way, they're awesome.
Mate,
Keep it rocking.
we echo those thoughts. Listen, thanks very much, alright, and we'll speak to you again hopefully soon.
Okay, thanks, bye.
Bye. There's another caller. Actually, we didn't get that caller's name, but certainly it's been great to have another new caller on there tonight, as well as Sonic. Now, someone else did add us, didn't they? So let's go back to that. And
it's good to have new peeps on, isn't it?
It is, because, you know, I'm fascinated to hear a story like that. Somebody who kind of went out of it, as you would do. I think a lot of us kind of had our dreams smashed when we realised. How long did you say to people, no it isn't, you know, defending it, that it's not scripted or whatever?
I think I saw Sean Stasiak calling a spot, and I just went, hold on a second, this is fake, I'm out of here. Yeah,
you'd wonder, I mean, what was it about it? Do you think possibly, you know, was it moments like King Kong Bundy? I mean, did we sit watching King Kong Bundy matches saying, my God, I mean, the guy is scripted, you know, he's playing up to the cameras?
I actually don't know when I probably copped.
Yeah.
I think in the back of the old mind, you probably you knew the deal, you know.
Yeah, to be honest, I remember people saying it to me, but I would have denied it for a while.
Yeah.
It was those times where you'd come in the next day to maybe school, and people would have seen the pay-per-view, and you would have said, look, don't tell me the results. They'd tell you the results, and they'd tell you it was fake, you know. So there's nothing you could do at all. Now, we've got another caller who's added us. Let's see if we can have a chat. I believe it's DoWden was. Give us a call straight away. We would love to have a chat with you about anything wrestling related here tonight.
Without mentioning names, do you remember getting the Manias taped from the old geezer up the top of the road, yeah? Indeed,
yeah. Only someone had the Sky Sports.
Yeah.
Not everyone had them, you know.
He would talk as if it was real. Maybe that was just to, I suppose, keep kayfabe, was it?
It could have been. Keep kayfabe for us. If he did do that, you know, if I was a fan now, I mean, I wouldn't go out of my way to tell a younger fan, look, you know, you wouldn't do it at all. Like,
nah.
Who actually probably would do that? I'm sure there's the odd person who does. I'd say if you bring, you know, a younger fan to a wrestling show, you've got to be worried there, because they're going to see it.
They will.
Yeah,
they will.
If you bring them to the kind of jobber wrestling shows where they'll be calling out suplex over the mic.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So again, thanks to everyone for joining us here tonight. And I think somebody asked about Rey Mysterio, so let's go back to that. I know somebody asked us that question. And again, DoWden was, if you want to share your thoughts with us, they said, I heard Shawn Michaels has signed a WWE Legends contract. Any news? And also, I like Ray. It's a big problem, this injury, but I think he should be involved with a big storyline somehow when he returns. Of course, that's right, he's now injured.
Yeah, I file Michaels under Mick Foley and Ray. Yeah, I kind of like Ray. I think we give him stick for far too long. Good old worker.
Yeah. Yeah, Dream Media says, what are your guys' thoughts on Mysterio? He's going to be away for a half year. Well, I suppose that's, as we say, you know, we got more into the guy's character in terms of the wrestling skills. Sorry, not really the character. I think the character really sold to the kids, and I'm not sure too many people love that character. I think they appreciate and respect the wrestling skills that the guy most definitely has. SP103, Sin Cara's next feud will be against a 60-day suspension. So there you go. I mean, that's possible for sure. Now I believe we have another caller joining us. Hello there.
Hey guys.
How are things with you? Great to hear from you. Do we have a name for you at all, or?
It's Daoud.
Excellent, brilliant, good to have you along here tonight. Now I believe we've never spoken with you before, but to start off with and say what was on your mind tonight, if anything.
Well, I was watching one of your YouTube videos and I seen you were on today at 9.
Right.
And I thought I'd give it a try, and I think I've caught you. So.
You have indeed. Listen, that's great. It's good to have you here. Basically what we do here, as you've seen on YouTube, is talk about wrestling. Now, tell us where you're at with the product right now. Are you a WWE fan? Are you a TNA guy? Or
I really don't like TNA. Some aspects of it, I do find it quite boring.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with some of the storylines that they bring out, then they're really not the best. But with the WWE, I love the Attitude Era. I mean, that was around when I was about 14, 15.
Right.
So you know, I was really into that, and then it went a bit downhill, drifted away, and then about the last year or so, I got back into it, and I think it's getting a lot better than the product it was producing about, say, 2 or 3 years ago. Especially this last year anyway. Last year I thought was pretty poor. There's a couple of good matches, but there weren't that many memorable storylines. I mean, the one that I remember is one is the Nexus one.
Of course, yeah.
And the other one really is just the Undertaker Shawn Michaels one. I didn't really find any others that interesting. But this one's really caught my eye. And it's gone to a completely different direction than I thought it was going to go. Right. I mean, I thought Vince was going to come back with the Ring of Honor guys or something like that.
Oh, yeah, we said that here, yeah. I think a lot of people were thinking that.
Oh, there was a lot of speculation about it. A lot of speculation. I like the mystery side of it, though. It's quite fun.
And then they just completely changed it with the whole Kevin Nash thing, so yeah.
They absolutely did keep us all, entertained for these past few weeks. And of course, that initial shock when Punk came out and cut that promo. What were your thoughts on that promo? Of course, coming off the back of the Cena match, and then him down at the Titantron. What seemed like straight shooting about all sorts of things with the company. I mean, were you impressed by that?
I thought it was real, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard somewhere that apparently he was told to just go out there and say, basically make it up.
Yeah.
And then he was cut off when they actually thought he was going to go too far, but it was improvised apparently. But I doubt that WWE would do something like that. But it was pretty cool. I mean, I liked CM Punk from the start anyway. I found him a bit funny because he was one of those heels that a lot of people genuinely hated because of the way he was with this whole straight edge persona. But, I liked him. I thought he was alright. His wrestling's okay as well. So, I was glad to see that he got kind of, a push. And I think it was a good storyline.
Did you enjoy his run with the Straight Edge Society?
I did. I thought it was quite entertaining.
I think, one thing about people who are into Punk they like everything he does, and you know, if you're into the guy and the character, as someone has said before, everything he does turns to gold, and people get behind him. I suppose people recognise when a guy really is a good worker, and of course when it all boils down to it, if they're in the ring and they can keep us interested in a 20-minute match, you know, that's certainly a plus point for them.
Here's something I want to talk about, and I just noticed, I was just going to bring it up as he said it. SP103, great point. The whole CM Punk work shoot gimmick has run its course. I don't think it's completely run its course, but what happens going forward if, for whatever promo he does cut, that he doesn't shoot, and he just does a straightforward old school Punk without, you know, going heavy on the shoot side, or I suppose exposing something else that we haven't heard, or something where the fanboys go, oh, did you hear what he said about such and such? What happens if he doesn't do it? What do you think? Things are going to get hairy for Punk going forward if that's the case?
I think I think it's a good gimmick for Punk anyway. I mean, you know, I think everyone loved the whole Austin McMahon gimmick, kind of, you know, the way that Austin was around him. That was a pretty good storyline, and I think this is the closest one that we've got to that at the moment. I mean, it's not Vince this time; it's Triple H or Kevin Nash, or, you know, wherever that storyline's going. And I think it's pretty good, and I think it's good for wrestling because a lot of people are talking about it now. You know, I know TNA fans, you know, people who like TNA, and they're talking about it now as well, saying it's a good, you know, storyline. So I think it's catching people's attention. And it's certainly making a lot of headlines in the wrestling business. And the great thing about it is that there's just so many different ways that they can take it. They can go down 100 different routes with this storyline, which, you know, I think probably could, you know, at least take CM Punk up to WrestleMania. I can't say the same about John Cena. I really don't know what's happening with him.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it was yourself or one of the callers who mentioned about the possibility of maybe taking it to Mania with McMahon, you know, have McMahon on board, somehow involved in that, maybe McMahon, Stephanie, Triple H. I think it might be a last chance, if you like, to get McMahon on a Mania and have a storyline that's worth having him on there for, you know. And it is, as I say, it's really Attitude Era stuff, really, isn't it?
It is. I mean, Attitude Era is one of them that is going to be so hard to replace. But it's this storyline has brought it, you know, that much closer. And you know, I think WrestleMania, The Rock, Cena, somehow they have to bring that match into, you know, into Raw as well to hype that match up even more. So I don't know how they're going to do that with the whole John Cena thing. And even I don't know, because I don't think John Cena's going to have the WWE title going into WrestleMania. I doubt that's going to happen. So I don't know. I think, you know, what's going to happen with the WWE title. You know, is Del Rio going to keep it, or, you know, I don't know. What do you think is going to happen with the WWE title going into WrestleMania?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's it's hard to kind of call it from here. I suppose it's a bit early, but I'd say Del Rio maybe a couple of months, and that'll be back on Punk or Cena, no doubt. Who'd you like to see Punk go one-on-one with for Mania next year?
I don't know. I would love to see a big dream, you know, John Cena versus The Rock and Austin Punk, but I doubt that's going to happen. But I've got a feeling, you know, maybe, you know, against Randy Orton, maybe they can bring him into it somehow.
Yeah, Orton is probably the guy who's been left aside a bit, hasn't he? I mean, he's kind of slipped. I mean, yes, he's the world heavyweight and he's got that Christian feud and all that, but
it's the problem with SmackDown, though. Who's he got?
Yeah, it's a legit feud, though, and I'd like to know your thoughts on the whole Mark Henry rebuild as well, because Mark Henry's turned a corner now and he seems to be quite a well-established heel for once, you know.
Yeah, no, he is pretty good, you know. I mean, I was never a big Mark Henry fan. Usually they usually used to do this with, you know, the bigger characters, the bigger wrestlers. They might have a couple of good weeks and then, you know, they just fade out. But, you know, they're really giving Mark Henry a big push now. So, you know, I like it. I think it's good. I think it's good for SmackDown because the Christian and Randy Orton one, it was getting a bit boring because, you know, Randy Orton was never going to get beat by Christian really badly. You know, that would just ruin Randy Orton. And, you know, I think it was a bit desperate for some reason. the way that SmackDown, you know, the whole Randy Orton Christian thing and how it's dragging on so long. I mean, they didn't do the Sheamus one because that's happened with Randy Orton before. But I think Mark Henry's one will be good. You know, I think it'd be a good rivalry, this one. It'd be a good feud. It could go on for a while.
It's right. It's interesting you asked there, you know, what will happen to the WWE title coming up to Mania. I suppose thinking about it, I would love to see, it's unlikely, but Del Rio to go from this point forward and be that kind of guy who has the belt non-stop, doesn't lose it, none of these cop-out finishes, and then look for maybe a definitive, you know, not a cop-out at the end of Mania, but an actual finish, a proper, clean finish, if you like. And then, you know, at that point Del Rio will have annoyed us all as a heel, if you like, holding on to the belt, and then a legitimate win then for somebody, maybe even Punk as babyface, maybe Punk Alberto by then.
Yeah, we need to see a long title run again. It's been too long.
Yeah.
Extended
I mean, because
title run.
how many times did the title change hands? It was about 3 times, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was Punk won it, and then it was Mysterio, and then it was Cena, and then Punk came back.
It was funny, isn't
so
it?
yeah. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's funny how they've had all those cop-out finishes at the end of pay-per-views. It kind of leaves you a bit cheated, if you like.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it would be good. It would be good to see Del Rio go quite far. But the thing is, Daniel Bryan. I mean, I think Daniel Bryan is a really good wrestler. He's technically very good. But one guy that he had a massive promo, that was, you know, Drew McIntyre. And apparently, you know, it's like he was going to be, I don't know what Vince referred to him as, I don't know, next big thing or a future champ or something like that.
The chosen one.
And nothing's happened with him since.
The chosen one. Well, I'll tell you where the chosen one is. He's over on Superstars. I saw him there a couple of days ago, going one-on-one with D. Bryan, just like you said. So he lost, unfortunately. So God knows what they have in store for him. Maybe creative for.
I mean, Chris Masters was doing well on Superstars. I caught him a few times.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he got released.
Exactly. You know, wasn't Drew even in FCW? He had a couple of shots at FCW. I mean, that's how low, unfortunately, Drew has slipped. I mean, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was that controversy with his ex-wife, and maybe that got him buried in the eyes of the office. But I think the burial started before that, because, you know, he was alongside Sheamus, and they were kind of touting them both as the, you know, the next coming. Michaels and Triple H meant to be friends with them, but it kind of turned out then that Sheamus got the belt, he slipped back, and Drew McIntyre absolutely fell
off the map.
Yeah, off the map, gone. You know. But I think Drew could be a guy who comes back.
Because like you said, he was meant to be the chosen one, and you know, I thought, how long's it been? It's been over a year, maybe 2 years. That he, you know, he might have been had you know, at least one title fight or something, even if he did lose. You know, but he's not even given that chance. I mean, I'm English, so I naturally, you know, like the British fighters.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I for some reason I got a feeling that, you know, possibly they'll get Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Wade Barrett, all on one kind of stable kind of thing.
That to me, that's a dream collaboration. You know,
the European invasion. It'd be amazing.
Could they bring back the European title? You know, they could bring the European title and put it on Wade or whatever. You're right. That could be the new Nexus, the British invasion. That's what it is, isn't it?
Something like that. That would be pretty cool. I mean, because everyone's saying that, you know, they want Cena to turn heel, etc. But, you know, I don't think he's going to turn heel. And I actually respect Cena for quite, you know, a lot, because his popularity is very high, and he could have easily have gone off to do movies, and that would have just left, you know, really WWE stranded with, you know, Randy Orton.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I really think, you know, John Cena, I mean, as much as I hate his gimmick of being a bit too much of a babyface, I guess that's not really his fault. I mean, he's been a bit more interesting than how he usually is. He's usually a bit repetitive. I mean, it is a bit repetitive with him, you know, back in the title frame. But, you know, his gimmick has been a bit, you know, a bit less PG, if you get what I mean.
You think, how do you feel about Justin Gabriel's babyface push?
I like Justin Gabriel. Even when he was in Nexus, I thought, you know, he was apart from Wade Barrett, I thought he was the real deal from Nexus. And I'm liking the fact that he's got a bit of a push. But, you know, I don't like Tyson Kidd. I think he should have got released, and they should have kept Masters. I hate Tyson Kidd.
They should release his hair first.
This is it. You know, it's the people who get released that surprise you at times. Now, you know, people like Melina, you kind of know that they're kind of skating on thin ice. You know they're kind of in trouble, and you see them being vocal on Twitter, and you're like, right, they've only got a certain amount of time. But as you say, guys kind of hang around like Tyson Kidd without any huge pushes. What about Trent Beretta? You know, he's still there, just kind of there in that kind of job or role. I actually think as well, this whole kind of Evan Bourne Kofi thing as tag team champions, is that a put over or is it a burial? You know what I mean? I mean, are they just kind of saying, look, here's something for those jobbers to do? Well, Kofi's not so much a jobber, but what do you think about that? Are they kind of giving them something to work with, or is it just another place to put those belts?
I mean, the highlight of Kofi's career was probably his feud with Randy Orton. Nothing's happened with him since then. So I think this was, I mean, Kofi, I think, is too good to be a jobber. I think, you know, but then he's not good enough to be, say, in the title shot, if you get what I mean. So I think they needed to find somewhere in between, and he's done all the others, you know, he's had the feud with Dolph Ziggler, etc. So they just needed a new angle in him. And, you know, I think it's a good tag team. It's fun. It's good to watch. But the tag team division really isn't the same as it was in the Attitude Era. Maybe that's something they need to work on from now on. You know, maybe guys like bring, you know, like you said, Trent Beretta into it. You know, I mean, I think he's a bit of a jobber at the moment. You know, he's not got anything going for him, which, you know, it's a bit strange because he's not that bad. He's actually not that bad of a, you know, of a wrestler. So maybe he needs to get a push or, you know, something like that anyway to boost him and especially, you know, put some more, you know, decent doubles into the tag team mix, you know, because it's not as good as, you know, the good old days with Edge, Christian, the Hardys, and, you know, the Dudley Boys and all that. So I think they need to give that a push because they've pushed the Divas division. That's a bit more interesting than it was before. I mean, I'm one of them that I still think Beth Phoenix is the best in the division, and, you know, I think it's just, you know, they might need to bring some new divas in. You know, I mean, you know, not like the, you know, the girly divas that they've got at the moment, like Kelly and stuff. Maybe some, you know, a bit, you know, more powerful divas like Beth Phoenix. Maybe that'll make it more interesting because they tried it with Karma, but then, you know, she had to go. But, you know, I think the tag division definitely needs a push.
Well, you're speaking our language. I think everything you've said there, you'll find that a lot of people in here, as well as us, the people in the chat room, are going to 100% agree. Listen, Daoud, it's been great to speak with you. I hope sometime again we can hear from you. We're on here every Sunday at around 9 your time.
I was watching on YouTube and I seen that you were on at 9, so I just thought I'll give it a try. But I've saved you the link to my favourites now, so I'll tune in next Sunday as well. And, you know, keep up with the work as well. It's good work, yeah, guys.
Brilliant, mate. Listen, nice thanks very much. All
right, thanks for taking my call, guys.
No brilliant. That's excellent. Thanks a lot. That's Daoud. We'll speak to Daoud hopefully again. Indeed, great to have a caller in like that who just has so much to say. I mean, that's the one thing we say a lot, but it's just great to have those extra opinions. Now, we have our regular Skypers, but great to be joined by Daoud and also our other Skyper tonight, I think is Zombie in the chat room. Interesting opinions. It's all very UK based, isn't it?
Let's get it off your chest. You have to get it off your chest. Yeah, that was great. Thanks for that call. We appreciate that one big time.
Absolutely. So that's all recorded, and indeed you'll all be part of that YouTube. Now, just to tell you what that is, it's youtube.com/thewrestledope. Like Daoud was saying there, he caught it on YouTube. I'm sure a lot of people see it like and maybe go, right, live Sunday at 9. I'll try and remember that. But in this case, we happened to be live when he saw the video. So that's excellent. Let's go to the comments because I know people have joined us, including 91Ks and 01. He says Evan Bourne deserves mid-card titles no higher than IC or US title. He has zero charisma, just like Shelton. What was your take on Shelton? I mean, I know people were pissed when he was released or whatever. Yeah. I think he's alright. It's almost like he never got the big enough push. He was ECW champion for a while as well. Yeah, and they're Ryan 1425. Have you heard in TNA mid-card talent have had to wrestle indie shows to make money? Now, this is something I heard And by the way, hi to Dream Media Studio. If you would like to post that question again, yeah, we can hear you. We can see what you're typing in the room. But somebody said that apparently TNA workers, now it's all speculation, but allegedly the people who were not on those $100,000 contracts, they're getting $600 a match if they're used. So you're talking about if somebody is brought to a taping, you're looking at maybe Rosa, someone like is that her name? There's two Mexican girls, isn't there? Sarita and
Yeah.
those two. They get like 600. So we'll say if they're booked to be on 3 Impacts, they go home with about $1,800 allegedly. And yeah, I mean, there's people like Christy Hemme who get 100,000 apparently allegedly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just it's certainly.
Yeah, I believe it. That's a whole lot of them are still doing the independent shows. Even Nash is doing independent. Well, what he's left to, he's still doing them. But yeah, for the most part, I think guys like the Young Bucks or Generation Me were doing them to tie things over money wise.
Absolutely.
Some of the other peeps, Abyss, and well, I think a few of them are tied down to exclusively to TNA. They can't do the indie ones, but a good proportion of the roster definitely are doing indie shows to pull in the bucks.
Now what we're doing right now is we're following you in the chat room. If you're logged in, and if you would like to follow us back, that would be great. You'll know when we broadcast, but as I said there, it is Sundays 9 GMT. That's UK time, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. I want to say hi to NB Socks joining us, very familiar name, as well as Scout Puppy, I know you, and trying to follow each of you guys. We're going to be on tonight, probably till maybe about 12. It's a bit of a marathon tonight.
Yep, not too bad
for us, but we're hanging tough here, I think, tonight.
Thanks for your questions, and thanks for any live stream that you have us linked up to. We appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
that's really cool. So thank you, Dream Media Studio, for that one. Was it Dream Media Studio? Yeah, thank you.
That's right.
That's
it's
cool.
Dream Media Studios. Put us on dreamgamers.net. Stream us as and when you would like to. If there's a live show on, and if you want to stick it up there, then we do appreciate it. And indeed, it started off slow tonight, but it's been great, actually.
Yeah,
we've had new callers. This is what we'd like to do every single week, is to talk to you guys. And you know, even if you talk to us tonight, have no hesitation in calling in again another night, because that's what we want to do. You know.
And if you're new to us, we are here every Sunday night and every pay-per-view night doing a live reaction and commentary. Well, our take on sports entertainment commentary, which is interesting to say the least. And yeah, we've been here for about 2 years now.
Coming up on it. I couldn't believe it when I thought about that the other day. We started in around the end of February 2010. So we're getting there, you know. It won't be long before it is the full 2 years. But, you know, if you haven't also checked out our YouTube, I know some people might just come in for the live just in. YouTube.com/TheWrestleDope. It feels like we're talking to a whole new audience, but I know there's some people who've been regulars here. But we've done 1 or 2 interviews on there, and maybe you might want to check them out. Dream Studio, can I ask a question? How much is the microphone? It's awesome. Actually, they were quite cheap. You want to look for... These are Shure C606s, so you can catch them on Amazon. And it's all fairly low rent here. But I think somebody once said a low rent PWR. The only thing is I don't watch PWR, but there you go. Sonic Akuma, I saw CM Punk on the Money in the Bank 2011 cover. And... Zombie says, how do you become a mod? Well, if you're in here most weeks, I think eventually we maybe mod up people. It's not over $100 though. It's more about $50.
Yeah, but it does the job. We can say, hey, how's it going? And we can say, check it out, check it out.
Check it out, indeed. And as you can see there, we have the 2 cameras. This one not working great tonight, but as you can see, a couple of different views of us. So that's what we do here, and mainly we take Skype calls and talk about wrestling. And indeed, it's been a good night for it tonight for sure. Zombie says, I used a €2 mic I got from Spain. I recommend those actually. And SP103, Wrestledope received a future endeavour message from Who was that from? Type it out, because I don't know exactly who that Future Endeavour message was from. Banner 6 is the Hulk getting back in the ring, and what else? Farsoul says just Tuesday. That's Smackdown, of course, who are having a show on Tuesday. I believe it's a live Smackdown, actually.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Super Smackdown or some shit like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So who knows?
Could be quite interesting.
It could indeed. Now Zombie says, have you seen my ETW entrance video? We'll check that out later, actually. And best of luck with that. Now indeed, another caller. I believe we have Mac Attack. Are you there with us, mate?
Hello.
How's
Excellent. We can hear you loud and clear. It's a bit of a Skype party tonight.
It is. There's plenty of new blood anyway. It's good to see.
It is, because we started off tonight kind of, are we going to have people in? It looked a bit quiet, and we do it for however many people are in there. But again, as always, great to have you along, and, if we could build up a Skype British invasion. I think we've been calling for that for a while now,
British and Irish invasion.
Exactly, a faction. I think it could work well. Of course, there's been several topics covered there. I suppose to throw it to you first, to give you a chance to maybe say anything you'd like. Is there anything that's been on your mind about the wrestling business?
Let's see. I suppose you touched on SmackDown there, the live SmackDown coming up. So a few points on. I think SmackDown obviously is the B show of the WWE, and I have a few sort of ideas on why that might be, and maybe what they could do to improve it. I think as you mentioned, there's a live show coming up, and they're pushing that quite strong, and I think that is the main problem with SmackDown at the moment, is the fact that it's pre-taped. Obviously it's taped on a Tuesday, so by Wednesday, Thursday, there's spoilers everywhere, and you can have plenty of self-control if you can, well and good, but I know personally I can't help myself, I'm always reading the spoilers, so it really takes the element of surprise out of it, or really, like the last time I watched SmackDown, I flipped through it in about 20 minutes or less, because obviously you knew pretty much exactly what was going to happen, and so I think the live SmackDown, I think that's something maybe they should look at on a permanent basis,
Definitely. When we speak to someone like yourself and you say something like that, like our previous caller, we know we're talking to people who are very much similar to what we think about the product and have the same kind of thoughts. You said there, flicking through SmackDown in 20 minutes. I 100% agree with you on that.
We're pros at it.
Absolutely. I don't think I've sat down and not fast-forwarded a SmackDown show in years. There's so many little bits and pieces there that just don't need to be watched.
Yeah, there's some problems with it now, and I think the main problem with it is really the roster. The roster on it is very thin. If you look at this Mark Henry push now, to be honest with you, I like what they've done with it. I think it's a good push, but I think Mark Henry, I think there's guys, maybe other guys that could have given this push too. Mark Henry, he's well into his 40s. I think, to be honest with you, I think the person that this push should have gone to is Big Zeke. I think Ezekiel Jackson, he's sort of a similar style to Henry. He's younger, he's fresher. I think he could be doing pretty much exactly what Henry's doing at the moment. I think they should have maybe gone that direction. Randy Orton as the champion. This feud with Mark Henry now, it's not grabbing me. I think it because they're both very slow wrestlers, if you know what I mean. I think and this is their focal point, is their World Heavyweight Championship. It's really it's not grabbing me anyway. I'm not too excited about it.
Well, it's been built very quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think probably for the most part with this, Mark Henry, what I can probably guess is that he's been loyal to the company for many years. He's never really had a World Heavyweight Championship. He's never been WWE Champion. He had a small stint as ECW Champion. If anything, it's probably a reward. They know he's on his last legs. Well, he's not physically on his last legs, but he doesn't have many years left. I'm sure it's just a way of saying, listen, thanks for everything you've done for us. And,
thanks for the memories.
Yeah, thanks for the memories.
May Young.
Etc. We'll give you a short run as a world champion. I'm sure he'll take the belt. It'll be a Christian situation on and off, and he'll be happy with that. They'll be happy with it, and it'll be a short-lived monster heel run with the belt. But I know what you're saying. Big Zeke probably will get there eventually, but I'd say give Mark Henry the credit he's due, if anything.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, I suppose Henry can keep the belt for a month or so, and then
it'll be on and off before you know it.
Yeah, they'll put it back on Orton for title reign number 2000 or whatever.
Yeah, actually it's true, because they do just kind of use him as a belt holder at times. Now, he's kind of been the guy that... He's been the heel that has had the belt passed to him so that Cena can eventually take it off him. My best memory, I think, of Orton was, I think it was about a 6-month reign that they called the Age of Orton. I think it was around about 2007, maybe 8, where he won that belt during the course of a pay-per-view. I think the belt changed hands like 3 times in the middle of a pay-per-view. Triple H got it, and I think it ended up finally with Orton. But it's been a slow crawl downwards ever since he was pushed out of that kind of Cena bracket. And somebody mentioned there that, I think was it yourself, it's so many callers now you'd forget, but that without Cena, you'd left then with just Orton to build a company. Now that would be, it seems to be a huge problem how much they rely on Cena.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I might occasionally come across as a Cena hater, or it's very easy to be a Cena hater, but I don't dislike. I have the most respect for John Cena. I think I think he gives his 100% for the company. He does great work for charity, all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the management are over reliant on him. I think they put all their eggs in one basket, so to speak. The point I've made before is that John Cena always seems to be the main event, or in the main event, even when he doesn't have the WWE Championship. Like if we go back to the one that always sticks in my memory is I think it was TLC last year. It was Cena versus Barrett. It was the main event of that, in a chairs match, the most ridiculous type of match ever invented. But that was the main event, and there's no championship on the line. The WWE Championship, I can't even remember who was in it. It was way down the middle of it. But John Cena is always the main event, and that's not necessarily his fault. That's why I think the company needs to push the likes of CM Punk, who was on fire recently, and I think they sort of missed an opportunity there to give Punk a long reign as a face champion. They haven't had a prominent face, not on Raw. They haven't had a prominent face champion for a while that wasn't John Cena. So that's sort of my thoughts on Cena anyway.
It's true. You talked there about how Punk didn't get that long reign, and I would question how much they're going to put behind him ever. I mean, he's never going to be at Cena level. And if people are kind of comparing him to a Stone Cold Steve Austin, I believe actually those two were jousting on Twitter this week. A couple of remarks back and forth. I think obviously Austin now kind of seeing Punk on TV and thinking, is somebody coming to take my spot? But I really, maybe I'm pessimistic about a lot of these guys, and in 5 years, 10 years time, they will be top company faces. But I don't know, I just can't put faith in Punk as being a guy who can carry the company on his back. Now, he can come up with great storylines and be involved in really good stuff. If anything, to me, what he is he's number 2. He's replaced Orton.
I agree totally. Yeah, you couldn't see him as a Cena going forward to really. like you say, carry the whole company. There's only so much he can do, and I think there's only so long he can do it for. That's the main problem. If he does do it and he does have a title run, I think it would be short enough lived, to be quite honest. I think it will get stale very quickly, and I hate to say it, but you know, for the moment it's fresh, but it is wrestling at the end of the day, you know. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the problem with Punk is his stuff the last while has been fantastic. You know, it's been the best stuff in years. I think the problem is Punk's target audience isn't maybe as profitable as Cena's target audience. You know, if Cena targets the kids, and it's the kids that are going to be hassling mommy and daddy to buy the t-shirts and the hats and everything, whereas Punk, you know, like, targeting my age. I mean, man, I've got no money to spend on Punk merchandise, so yeah, you know, I think that's the problem with Cena. I think Cena is he's a slave to merchandise sales, you know, until those sales go down.
He pulls the people in across the board,
stuck in limbo.
Yeah, I mean, they do focus. This has been said before, but too much on the main event, and if you're not in that main event bracket, as in the Raw main event, then you know you might struggle no matter what position you are to get good story. Orton and Mark Henry is not going to have a good story. I mean, there isn't enough time to build something to really be meaningful, and then you kind of wonder how long are they going to stick to Orton v Henry. I mean, is that just a one shot? But I mean, not to go back there, because I know it's Mark Henry territory, and I am getting slightly maybe bored by Henry, I have to say now. I mean, I enjoyed it to begin with, but it seems to have kind of slowed down slightly. Again, we kind of are guilty of the same thing, because I think the main event becomes the talking point, and I think a lot of stuff, you know, like Kofi and Evan winning the tag team belts, I mean, that just kind of slips under the radar a little bit, doesn't it?
I think there's potential for this. I genuinely do.
Yeah, there could be, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to see they came out their ring gear vaguely matched colour wise, so maybe there's hope for this team. Yeah,
I'll tell you one thing. Sorry, go ahead. I'll make it quick. I was just going to say what I did like about Raw was the fact that Jerry Lawler was shooting on the tag division for the most part and saying, look, McGillicuddy and Otunga, I mean, what's the story? They're not a tag team. It's just two names thrown together, and he constantly banged on about it for the 6 or 7 minutes of that tag match, and really drove home the fact that the tag team division is pretty screwed. I think there's definitely going to be, all signs are pointing towards a serious focus on it. Not only that, I've got a great name for the team of Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston. Folks, check this out, I hope you like it. I was thinking about this one because I was like, what would I call them? And how about this? Get ready for it. Born to be Kings. Like that?
I think it works.
Born to be Kings.
I think there's something there. I think
Stanford, if you're watching, that's a trademark, by the way. It's my second trademark, so if that pops up on Monday night, I'll know.
I like it.
We know it's true. It's a good one, and there's probably a few more. Maybe
there's probably a few more. Yeah.
Go ahead there.
Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, I suppose, as I say, these little topics kind of do slip into the background, and you're left then to really just talk about what's been the core of the program, which is obviously usually the main event and whatever the hell they're up to and that. And I suppose that's kind of the thing about WWE, whereas with a Ring of Honor, they will flesh out feeds. Everybody will get a chance to say something, at least with the past TV. You know, people, to be honest, for a time, not in the last year, not in the Hogan Bischoff regime, but there was a time when you'd watch a TNA pay-per-view. I know people are down on it, but maybe about 2-3 years ago, and every single match, there could be 9 matches on the card, and there would be 9 matches at times, but they'd all have had a build. You know, there'd be a reason for it to have happened, and I used to think they did that very well far before Hogan Bischoff, but of course we won't go too far into the old TNA. Stay with us there, Mac Attack. We're going to talk just quickly to the chat room and the comments in there. Hi to Chaos Kid. Kofi was asking on Twitter for a tag team name for Bourne and Kofi, so maybe
Give him that one.
Someone has probably maybe sent it on to them. They're actually asking for a tag team
That's
name.
hilarious.
That's crazy. Zombiez says they should call it Paradise in the Air. Dream Media Studio. Is Amazon or eBay better? Well, I would go Amazon personally. Daoud says Air Paradise. Maybe, not bad. Chaos Kid, what do you think of the FCW roster? You know, at one time we talked about FCW a lot.
In depth.
At the very beginning, but it became hard to watch it. Now I believe it is available now to check out.
Yeah, I revisited it a couple of weeks back, maybe a couple of months back at this stage, but it was short-lived again because of access to it. But I've always enjoyed it. It's been great. Maybe we should start covering it again. I'm sure it's better than TNA anyway.
Yeah, I think so. You know, this is an interesting one. We were both fans of Skip Sheffield back in the day. And SP says Skip is still listed as a superstar by WWE. Talk about a dead and buried guy. It's true. And also Dream says, can I hear you on my Xperia Arc? Is there apps for it? There are Android apps for Justin.tv or whatever other apps that there are available. I'm sure Justin have probably got it up there, and indeed I'm sure you can watch it on almost anything. SP103, Jerry Lawler has pretty much checked out mentally. It's a
very
good
true.
point.
It is. It's a very good point.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Mac Attack? Because on the commentary, the guy has just been
Autopilot.
He makes mistakes and things. I mean,
Yeah.
I know everyone's human, but
But he's autopilot as well, though.
yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know what they seem the last Monday Night Raw. He almost seemed to be favouring the heels, which I found coming off the back of this massive WrestleMania storyline where Jerry Lawler was the face of the show. I don't know, are they going to turn him heel now? Doesn't make sense, but I think, to be honest with you, I'm not sure about this whole 3-man announced team in general. I think it's far too crowded on both SmackDown and Raw. You know, there's 3 guys each trying to, and they spend most of the time arguing rather than actually calling the match, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gone too far, really. I'm surprised, actually, they've let it go on.
I find it okay on SmackDown because I don't know, it's funny, it's entertaining with Booker. I don't get, doesn't bore me, and I think everything he says is kind of funny, to be honest with you. Literally, absolutely every single thing. On Raw, I mean, their timing is really good. They don't cross over each other too bad, but I don't know if there's need for 3 of them. I don't know if there's need to have JR back. I don't know if he's brought much to it, even though he is quite legendary or whatever.
No, he's definitely a bit of a third wheel in this
I just find it.
situation.
Yeah, I find him to be the kind of lower tier of the 3, to be honest, and that's saying something with Lawler there, you know.
It's funny because I did hear it discussed recently where it was thought that maybe Lawler was being transitioned out of that position. There were people coming into his spot, and now with JR back, that seems to be, well, it's not as clear cut now. I mean, they've brought a guy back who looked like he was never going to be on it again. And is it just a storyline for JR to be there? Is he working towards a Triple H angle? Is it all to do with this COO Triple H angle and him making that decision? Who knows? But Lawler, I think he's been on long enough now without a break that he could do with a break. I mean, even if he's the Jimmy Hart going forward, doing that stuff backstage and showing up at the various events, maybe it is time for him to call it a day, you know?
Time to bow out.
Definitely. Listen, Mac Attack, we've had you on for long enough. It's been great, as always. Your input, much appreciated. And indeed, thanks for always being there.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, take it easy, have a good week.
We'll say goodnight to Mac Attack. Thanks very much to Mac, indeed our moderator and fellow countryman indeed from here in Ireland, which is where we're speaking to you from live.
He should have the Mac pack.
Yeah. Chaos Kid, I think they should have William Regal on commentary. An interesting comment as well from Francine's Bra. Reason why TNA does not have a build-up on the lower card guys is because they don't have Dutch Mantel anymore. Now Dirty Dutch was a big part of that. I know I've heard his interviews, and I think there was a bit of a problem with him and Cornette at one point, but I think it led to Cornette kind of forgiving him. I'm sure he forgives him now that he's gone from TNA. But yeah, he was another guy who was kind of part of that regime, and maybe a little bit in Russo's pocket. We're not sure really, but that's I think what was kind of being said. So let's talk to Der Ryan, who wants to know our thoughts on Mystico, the real. Talking about that Sin Cara angle. He's gone. Do you think Sin Cara is over, or do you think they'll keep going?
Sin Cara, we've talked to death about. What was the question with him?
Do you think he'll keep going?
Yeah, they'll keep him around, I'd say, no doubt. I don't know. I'm sure they'll probably go with Hunico. Is that the guy's name we spoke about earlier?
Yeah.
Underneath the mask. But yeah, I'd say the character will stay around. I'm sure Trips ain't too happy about the whole situation. But what can you do?
Absolutely. If it's your first time joining us here, you can follow us on Twitter at Wrestledope. If you want to know when we upload videos and just updates from us about live shows and stuff like that, follow us on that. You can also subscribe, youtube.com/TheWrestleDope, and we'd appreciate you doing that. Even if you never watch the videos, just subscribe. It's good, you know, it looks good on the numbers. Also, follow us here on Justin.tv, Justin.tv/WrestleDope Radio, and we are here every Sunday, 9 GMT, 4 Eastern and 1 Pacific. Now we started off tonight quiet, but it's gone well, you know. We've had all sorts of new Skype callers.
Yeah, a lot of new users in the chat room too, which is cool. And hopefully you stay with us each and every Sunday night, as we did change back onto Justin.tv from live stream because it sucked over there.
Yeah.
So good to be back home on Justin with all the new peeps.
It is. 91 says it seems like Lawler fakes his enthusiasm. Booker T genuinely is intriguing on commentary. Chaos Kid, what about Hunico versus Sin Cara down the line? You know, I was gunning a few weeks ago for Sin Cara v Sin Cara. I mean, that Mortal Kombat almost, Sub-Zero v Sub-Zero. They allowed you to do it in the video game. It's become the cartoon world of wrestling, so I say why not, you know.
You know, it would be great if, I know, yeah, we were mad to see Sin Cara, but seeing as one of them can't speak English and he's got fired, it's probably going to be pretty tough to bring him back, or at least use the Hunico guy, and then somehow start some sort of feud if he can't even speak English. So that's probably that next from the start. I think they chopped him anyway, didn't they? Send him home.
It's a crying shame. And Daoud says, will Booker T ever wrestle again? It's a good question. Of course, he did appear at the Rumble, almost like an introduction for that character, bringing him back and maybe showing him to the audience who haven't seen him. Of course, most of the audience will remember the guy from the King Booker days. I mean, it wasn't that long ago at all that you had Booker in that role with the crown. But would he ever wrestle? I think he could very much do so. I mean, he seems to be in good health. Certainly there weren't any complaints back in TNA. He kind of, in a sense, at the end of his TNA reign, started to take the piss out of it. And maybe like a lot of those other workers on those low-paid wages, listening to Dixie Carter, probably said, look, you know, this is a load of bull, let's just take the piss out of it. But would he wrestle again? I would say yes. I
would say he's got a couple of matches left in him. If he will is probably another question. I don't think he needs to. I'm sure he's put his money away. I don't think he's an idiot by any means. I think it's kind of the JBL thing, where JBL was injured by all accounts, and it looked like he was never ever going to come back to the actual wrestling ring. He was on the commentary, and that seemed to be it forever. By the way, I miss him on the Smackdown. Actually. Yeah, he's pretty cool.
He was good. I think, yeah, he could come back sooner rather than later, and I would certainly expect to see him. I would say SmackDown could be calling at some point or another, so I suppose we'll have to wait and see. I think they're pretty happy with him so far, and they have somebody they can put on a WrestleMania and not be worried about how he's going to do. Of course, JR left off SummerSlam as well, so that kind of puts me in the direction of JR is a storyline.
Yeah.
You know?
That, or he's not delivering like he used to, or he's just past it, which is probably much the same thing.
Yeah,
he was left off there definitely for a valid reason. He wasn't missed either, that's the thing. It wasn't like you were saying, where's JR, we need JR to rescue this match on commentary, because it was seamless. It didn't seem like his absence made any difference, really, to be honest.
Absolutely. Just about 5-10 minutes left before we finish off here tonight, taking some of your questions. And indeed, you guys have been great tonight, helping us along on what was fairly quiet in terms of wrestling product. There wasn't too much new to talk about. And I think, what's the next pay-per-view? Night of Champions. That's not next Sunday, is it? Or
Is
it could be. Could be a week or two away. I've certainly, because I know it's coming up very soon, and we will hopefully be here talking about it on pay-per-view nights. Always think to come into Justin if you're not watching it on TV. Come in here and you'll find us commentating, if you like, talking about what we see on screen, the entire pay-per-view, not shown but also told, if you like, and it's September 18th, so that's well away. Wow, 3 weeks, so there is a bit of time.
Up quick, don't they?
There's a bit of time for Orton Henry now. I was right.
A solid build go forward.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of forgot about it this week, so need to pick that up next week.
Absolutely. Daoud says, I miss Jericho. Maybe he can come back and do something within SmackDown. Maybe an Orton feud. Sonic says, next pay-per-view's TNA's No Surrender. And SB, what a crappy pay-per-view for my 32nd birthday. Yeah, I mean, I know. Maybe avoid that one on the night of the birthday. You know, there's something about it.
Go out and enjoy yourself. You're only 32 once.
Yeah, you know, it's true, because you would kind of say to yourself, you know, here I am on my birthday and I'm watching Over the Limit. You know, it wouldn't be the most memorable of birthdays, maybe. Dorian says, have you heard or seen some of the heat on Twitter between Punk and Austin? I read about that. That's picking up. Again, whether that's a work or not, maybe Austin sees something in Punk and he's decided, right, let's kind of play up that Twitter thing, because there was a time before where Miz and Chris Jericho created a full-scale feud on Twitter, and they were actually the best of friends. They put themselves over each other.
Yeah, I always think it's harmless banter between the two, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just a bit of fun, you know.
And Dream says it's 21 days until Night of Championship. Owned, but you, my friend, are owned too, because it's Night of Champions. But 91 Kazan says Jerry Lawler is a dumbass. He said he doesn't think CM Punk is that good. Funny thing, he is that good. He is better than half the roster and deserving to be where he is now. Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole is ass kissing. I have to guess what some of these words are, because it's just stars there. We can all make mistakes, Dream Media. I made one a few minutes ago. Captain Charisma, the only wrestler I care about now is Daniel Bryan. Daoud says Bryan is awesome. I mean, Daniel Bryan, in theory, he should be a guy that's the face of the company. I mean, if we were going back to Bob Backlund days, we'd have our guy there. There's the 6-year title reign that can maybe keep it occupied, keep fans happy, and maybe they could get away. They could get away with a long title reign with Daniel Bryan, I think.
Yeah, as if you're going to focus on full-on wrestling, probably. But as far as charisma goes, he's probably got as much charisma as a bloody toothbrush.
Zombiez wants us to play his entrance video in the background. We'll do that. We will stop the recording in a moment, and we will. We don't want to record it and play it out again, but we certainly will play it before we finish. SP says Bryan's going to lose the Money in the Bank briefcase. He'll never make it to WrestleMania. So I suppose we've talked some topics, and I think we're about ready to finish. We usually go about 2 hours. I don't know how long we've gone now. Maybe somewhere close to 2 hours, but that's usually what we do here live. If this is your first time joining us, it's been a pleasure, and certainly to have first time viewers Skyping us their first time in is certainly a great thing, and anybody who Skyped us, do come back and call us next Sunday around 9 GMT, but do also keep it on the youtube.com/thewrestledope. Hopefully these videos will turn out nicely, and yeah, get a couple of hits on those, maybe a few subscribers
for sure. And if you're new to the site and you haven't been over that way and you are missing Chris Jericho, do go over there and you can see our interview with him from the start of this year. Good times all around. So yeah, cheers folks, until next time, have a good one.
Absolutely, and just to round off with some of your comments, the Ryan says, had fun, thanks guys, we'll Skype you next week. Yeah, absolutely, we'd love that. And Daoud, great show, thank you. See you next Sunday, anytime you want to pop in is good. Dream Media, Skype name is Wrestledope. Chaos, found it interesting, that's good for us. And Mac Attack, thanks as well for that compliment. So let's say goodnight to everyone, and we've had quite a few viewers in tonight. Mac Attack, Captain, SP103, 91 Kazan, Banner 6, Chaos Kid, Daoud, Dream Media, Jimbo, Mr. Langholm, NB Socks, Scout Puppy, Sonic Akuma, Stevie Beat, and the Ryan 1425. So this entire show on YouTube later on, maybe tomorrow, and that's youtube.com/thewrestledope. Your calls will be up there, part of this show, and that's what we like, to have you as much a part of this as indeed we are. So again, another night from the Wrestledope. That's it. We're back next Sunday. See you then.
Spread the love to your wrestling friends.